When life breaks you down, when the world says it's over, remember, God's promises never fail. That's the truth you often forget when the storm feels too strong. You sit there, questioning why things aren't working out, why your prayers seem unanswered, why the pain keeps repeating. But let me remind you, it's in those moments of doubt that faith must rise. You've had days when your heart felt heavy. Maybe you've lost your job. Maybe your health hasn't been kind. Maybe the people you trusted the most turned their backs on you. And you whisper, God, where are you? Why me? But here's the thing, God never promised a life without struggles. What He promised is that He will never leave you nor forsake you. He promised that even when you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you will not be alone. It may feel like you're drowning, but in truth, you're not sinking, you're being carried. The valley isn't your ending. It's the path to your breakthrough. Think about your life for a moment. How many times did you feel like it was over? That the weight of your problems was too heavy to carry? You cried yourself to sleep, wondering if you'd ever smile again. You sat in silence, staring at the ceiling, asking God, why me? Why now? Where are you? And yet, you're still here. You made it through the storm you thought would break you. You survived the pain you thought would kill you. You're breathing, you're standing, and you're stronger than you realize. That's not a coincidence. That's not just life working out. That was God's hand over you. His unseen protection. His quiet strength. His promise at work in your life even when you couldn't see it. God's promises are not empty words. He promised that when you are weak, He will be your strength. He promised that when you feel lost, He will be your guide. He promised that when you're broken, He will heal your heart. Sometimes you forget because the noise of your problems is so loud. But deep down, you know the truth, you've never been alone. The same God who carried you through your darkest night is the same God who will carry you into your brightest morning. Look back, not with regret, but with gratitude. Every tear you cried, every battle you fought, every valley you walked through, they are living proof that God keeps His word. And if He has done it before, He will do it again. Because God's promises are not tied to your circumstances. They are tied to His faithfulness. And His faithfulness never fails. Waiting, it's one of the hardest things God asks you to do. You pray, you cry, you believe, but when nothing happens right away, you start to wonder, did God forget me? Did He change His mind? Maybe the promise wasn't for me after all. But here's the truth, the waiting is not punishment. The waiting is preparation. Think about a seed planted in the soil. You can't see what's happening underground. Days, weeks, even months may pass, and still, nothing seems to change. But in that hidden place, roots are growing, strength is forming, and life is being built where no eye can see. That's exactly what God is doing in your life when it feels silent. While you wait, He is strengthening your faith, shaping your character, and preparing the blessings He already promised. Just because you can't see movement doesn't mean God isn't working. The waiting tests you, not to break you, but to build you. Will you still believe when the answer doesn't come immediately? Will you trust when your friends laugh at your faith? Will you keep standing on His word when everything around you says to quit? This is where most people give up. They stop praying. They stop believing. They walk away right before their breakthrough arrives. But you must not give up. Every day you wait faithfully, you are planting seeds that will soon bring a harvest. God's timing is never late. It may not align with your schedule, but it is always perfect. So when the silence stretches longer than you hoped, remember, the wait is not wasted. The promise is still alive. And in the waiting, God is building the strength you'll need to carry the blessing when it finally comes. And then, it happens. The moment you thought would never come finally arrives. The door that was shut suddenly swings open. The opportunity you prayed for shows up out of nowhere. The healing you waited years for begins to take shape. The peace you longed for floods your heart like a river. When God fulfills a promise, it doesn't just happen quietly, it changes everything. You look back at the nights of tears, the seasons of waiting, and suddenly, it all makes sense. You realize that every delay had a purpose, every setback was a setup, and every test was training for this very moment. The miracle of fulfillment is not just about receiving what you prayed for. It's about becoming the person God shaped you to be along the way. Because by the time the promise comes, you're not the same. You're stronger. You're wiser. You're more grateful. You've learned to depend on God in ways you never would have if everything came easy. Think about it. What once felt impossible is now your reality. The dream that looked dead is now alive. The relationship you thought was over is restored. The job you thought you'd never get becomes yours. The peace you thought you'd never feel becomes your everyday. And in that moment, you understand why God asked you to believe. Not because the road would be easy, but because His promises never fail. When God fulfills His word, it reminds you that He is not a man that He should lie. If He said it, He will do it. If He promised it, He will complete it. And when it happens, your only response is gratitude, because you'll know deep down, it wasn't luck, it wasn't chance, it was God keeping His promise. Now that you've seen what God can do, the question is, how will you live moving forward? Because faith isn't just about waiting for blessings, it's about walking daily with the confidence that God is with you, no matter what. Living in His promises means you don't let fear control you anymore. When life throws uncertainty your way, you can say, I may not know what tomorrow holds, but I know who holds tomorrow. That's not just a saying, that's power. That's freedom. It means when doubt creeps in, you fight back with faith. When your mind says, you can't, you remind yourself, but God can. When people around you give up, you stand firm, because you've already seen how God turns hopeless situations into testimonies. Living in His promises also means being a light for others. The same way someone once encouraged you, now it's your turn to encourage those who feel forgotten. When they see your faith, your joy, your peace, they will ask, how are you still standing? And you'll have the answer, because I live in God's promises. And here's the beauty, His promises don't expire. They are not limited by age, background, or mistakes. No matter where you are in life, God still has a plan. He still has blessings waiting. He still has open doors ahead. So live boldly. Live with courage. Live like someone who knows that the God who made the heavens and the earth also cares about every detail of your life. Because when you live in His promises, you stop surviving, and you start thriving. You stop doubting, and you start believing. You stop being a victim, and you step into victory. This is your calling. This is your reminder. Live every day knowing, God's promises are real, and they are for you.